Okay, hello everybody. Thank you and welcome to our program today. Today is a special program because I have a special guest, and whenever we have a special guest, we make sure that you guys are not left out, okay? So, you know that many times, a lot of times in the black community, we get a lot of bad rap, because uh, a lot of people don't understand the community. And here in Canada, it's always exciting when we run into somebody who is doing something to change the narrative. And so and so today we have a guest that I'm excited to introduce to you. And shortly, I'm going to bring him up on the screen so that you guys will see him, and then we will welcome him properly. Okay, yes, I have him on my screen. On my screen. Guys, put your hands together as I welcome Mr. Idris Orughu. Idris, did I get it well? Idris Orughu. Huh?
It's not bad. It's Orughu.
Orughu.
Yeah,
Orughu. Okay.
medically Orughu.
Orughu.
Yes,
Okay. 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 Okay.
almost like the GH is pronounced like who.
Who? Oh my goodness. I feel so ashamed that you're the one teaching.
Well, it's not a common name, and I understand.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Don't worry. We're going to learn a lot about this. Yeah.
Okay.
Idris, I must confess you've been in the news lately, and that is what caught my attention. Because there was something on the news about you, having something. Let me read it so that we don't miss a thing. Um, it says that Peel District Board extends apology to community leader Idris Orughu for acts of discrimination and anti-black racism. That's
Mhm.
where I want to start. What
Okay.
was that all about? How did we get to the point where the almighty Peel region is apologizing to you? What exactly happened?
Wow. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to those who are tuning in and who are watching from all over the world, wherever they may be. It's a pleasure. The issue with the board it's been a long one. It's a series of events that culminated to them actually banning me, which was an act of discrimination. And I was banned from actually stepping foot into the Peel board, any Peel school premises. Now,
Hmm.
for those who don't understand, the region, those who are, for some of your viewers who are outside of Canada or outside of North America, there are cities, there are regions. Now, regions typically are a combination of cities, and this could be a state.
Yeah.
If I may use it, the size of Nigeria, this is actually a state.
Yes.
Not to downplay it.
Yeah.
And the board itself, it's about a $2 billion organization
Hmm.
with about 155,000 employees. So just to give you the size, and a school board in terms of the students, it's about I think 84,000 students.
Yeah.
You know, so what has happened? There has been a history of discriminatory practices that's plagued not only the board, but like we all know in North America, in Canada, it has been. And what actually started this was the case of a trustee, an elected official who had called the name of a school, uh, coined it, coined it. He actually, the name of the school, it's McCrimmon Middle School, and he coined McCriminal out of McCrimmon.
Wow.
That was the origin of this story. He said it casually in the presence of a trustee. There are two black trustees in the board, and he said it to casually, and the other trustee, Kathy McDonald, heard it and essentially challenged him that no, that was wrong. So everyone would have expected was for this trustee to just render an apology, and this would have been a non-issue.
Yeah.
Rather, he did not, and the board heard of it. Instead of them to have taken a drastic action, they did not. There were no apologies, nothing. So that was how all of this started. So, what happened further was that every 2 weeks there was a board meeting, and we would meet at the board rooms to listen to from the director, the leadership of the school,
Yeah.
talk about whatever issues they had, and this became the center focus. Requested an apology. It went on that they were able to get their own integrity commissioner, who perhaps is almost like a third party mediator,
Mm-hmm.
to look at this case and see if what the trustee said was wrong. Unfortunately, the report came out. Instead of the integrity commissioner to find wrongdoings with the trustee,
Yeah.
said those words, it was the other way around. The trustee that brought about this case. And that made it worse. And we said we were not going to even accept an apology. We continue to push for systemic racism and so many other forms of discrimination that's happened within the board
Mm-hmm.
to be reviewed. They essentially refused. They shut the doors and discontinued. They thought we were going to just walk away. No, we weren't about to walk away. We persisted. Every bi-weekly meetings, we were there delegating. Now, delegation is an act where you go in and air your grievances. You're given the time to speak, and you air them. And you had so many people. It would start at about 7. We'll be there at about 7, and sometimes till we wouldn't leave till about 10, 11, 12.
Wow.
Yep. It continued on for a long time until we were able to get the attention of the Minister of Education, because it became embarrassing. Because the board, it's one of the few or one of the number of boards that are under the Minister of Education in the province of Ontario.
Yeah.
It was embarrassing. The media were involved. You had all the local newspapers, TV stations that would show up to our delegations. So it
Wow.
became a global or national embarrassment for them.
I'm gonna show something. I'm gonna show
Right.
something just to show how serious it was. Um, uh, so I'm gonna pull something up, and I hope our viewers will see it. It says, Education Minister S. Fleece says he is pleased that the Peel District School Board has finally apologized to community leader and parent Idris Orughu, who has highlighted the board's anti-black racism problem. So that is just to show that what we are talking about got to the ears of the education minister. I think that was not just a small thing, that was something huge. All right. But let me backpedal a bit, because I wanted to start from where I wanted to start from what is trending right now, what puts you trending all over Canada. People have reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you know this guy?" I'm like, "Who's this guy?" And they say, "Hey, I don't know what he did, but the minister is talking about him. Everybody's talking about him. He's on the news. That's why I went after you." But let me back, let me step back to say, who is Idris Orughu? Let's find out who you really are before all the headlines and everything. Who are you?
Well, I am. I'm a father of four great children, three boys and a beautiful girl. My daughter, lovely, amazing, sweet, my boss, mini boss, and my wife,
The big
beautiful
boss.
wife. Yes, my big boss, Afu Orughu. So I reside in Peel. I've been here, been in this country for what, 26 to 27 years now. Went to school in the U.S., majored in biology and chemistry. Went in, worked as a financial planner for so many years. Decided to go. I actually didn't choose activism. I did not, and I've said to people, activism chose me. I have always been involved and always paid attention to what is happening around me since I've been in North America. Having lived and gone to school in the States, you can tell, and Canada isn't immune from all of this. But activism chose me, and it chose the right person. So I'll say in a nutshell, that's who I am. I have worked in so many capacity, in, especially with regards to community building, helping strengthen our Black community in Peel. I currently head a program that is our Legacy Brampton Black Community Hub, which is a program that that is meant to centralize all of our agencies, non-for-profit agencies, and some for-profit agencies under one umbrella to help our members of our community.
But hold on. Let me not run ahead of myself before we start getting into all the complicated stuff. For people like me, I like to break it down. Let's go back a little bit more. Yeah, we just went back. We went back in time, and by the time we got to North America, the chain stopped. I want to go back a little bit.
Okay.
Let's go right down to your roots. Where are you coming from? Let's understand.
So I hear you. My history, of course, my story, I'm Nigerian.
Okay.
Um, when I had my high school in Nigeria boarding school, I went to Command Secondary, which is a military school in Ibadan, where I graduated. My dad is from Edo State. My mom happens to be Igbo, and I think a lot of people don't know this, so I'm part Igbo. My mom is from Anambra, I'll say Anambra State.
Yeah.
Okay, from
Enugu
my back.
State now. No, it used to be Anambra State. If you tell me where your mom is from, I'll know whether it's Anambra or Enugu State. Let's go
It's
back a
from-
little bit. Let's go deeper to
okay.
your roots. I'm dig-
Okay, it's from a town called Agbani.
no, you're not. You're from Enugu State. Anambra.
Enugu
No,
State,
no.
okay.
I'm from
My
Enugu State.
apologies.
So you are my brother. Don't let anybody. Don't say Anambra. It's Enugu. Enugu. Just.
Okay, my apologies. I know it. I remember it as
Yeah, it
Anambra.
used to be
No,
Anambra. It used to be.
okay. I
You've
know
been in
they've
North
had so many.
Idris, you've been in
What?
North America for too long. You've been in North America for too long.
So my apologies. I remember it as Anambra State, and I know back then they had Anambra and they had Imo State.
Yeah. Now it's
Right.
it's Enugu State.
Oh, okay. That's where my mother is from. Good number of my family grew up in Jos, my mother's side, and a lot of them were were victims of the then Civil War. So I share a bloodline where one was in the military trying to put the country together. That's my dad, while my mom was from the other side of the country that were being persecuted by the military. And that was how they met during the civil war then in Nigeria. So I'm a product of the unity of Nigeria, if I may say.
So you see that's why I like to go back in time and like I when I was introducing my interview with you, I asked people to come along with me so we can dig a little deeper. And I'm glad we're digging beyond North America, and then we
Right.
flew down to Africa, and then we flew into Nigeria, and we flew into Enugu State and Edo State. So you are a real Niger boy, you know. Re-
Of course.
yeah, born, bred, and buttered. But
Yes.
you 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 were a product of the conflict.
Right.
You grew up hearing about the conflict. You know about the conflict in Nigeria, the
Right.
Biafran Nigerian war, and all of that. The stories of marginalization,
Right.
victimization, oppression, and all of that, and that terrible civil war. All of that. Do you think that it influenced how you see things, in life? Do you think so?
Um, Partly. Sometimes you are a product of your history and your environment.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot you cannot separate yourself from your history. Your history would always precede you. I would say yes, and to a larger extent as well, the environment most of us grew up while we were in Nigeria, then coming out to a place like this and embracing the system as we see it in North America. So it's a combo of things that have really uh, defined who I am
What was the
today.
experience coming to when you came to North America? What was shocking to you? What hit you in the face that you were really shocked to realize that, oh my goodness, this happens here?
Well, I think a lot of us were shocked that there was the cultural difference. For a lot of people, it becomes a case of adaptation. Your age when you came and what your exposure and your experiences were. For me, I was quite young when I came, so adapting to the system was a lot easier. So going to school, going to university here, it was easier because you're put in a system where you have no choice. And then as an athlete, I came as a student athlete on an
Oh,
athletic scholarship, and this is the part that's part of my story because I
yeah.
was on an athletic scholarship. I played, like it's called, I had a full ride in my university in the states.
Tell me about that part. Tell me about the athletics part because today we want to learn about you. Forget about what people see. I need to get into you and know you.
And so I came here on an athletic scholarship. So I was playing basketball in Nigeria, like some of us. So we had the dream to play. We were greatly influenced by Hakeem Olajuwon, and I played in Nigeria and for Nigeria before I left. I played on the club side and played on the team that represent, which I'll call the national team that represented the country in African Championship. It was right there that after that I left. I was part of the team that was to go for the Commonwealth in '94, but then I was leaving the country, so there wasn't no need, there wasn't any need, any desire to participate in that. But nevertheless, there were quite a bit of us that left the country in that period, and sometimes after that, I played. So my name, I'm quite known within the basketball circle in Nigeria. I mean, a lot of my teammates that I played with and those. So if you played in that period before me and after myself, you would really know who these guys were. Even though I didn't have the gray beard, I was skinny and just a skinny dude that played basketball. So I came here on an athletic scholarship. I had 1 year done in Canada before I moved to the States, where I actually played and completed. And I had quite a bit of recruits in NCAA one. I had my teammates whom I was recruited to play against, the great Peter Luma that passed away early this year,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah.
So, and there are other friends, people that I played with that I'm still in touch with.
Wow. You see,
Well,
we're beginning to build the Idris Orughu. We're beginning to see who you are. We see where you're coming up, grew up, the experiences, and then
right,
you came to North America. You were not just the people that come into the place and are just there. You impacted your environment. You played on a team. Of course, you must have to be successful in sports. You have to have very great skills and social skills at that. So I can imagine you being a basketball player in North America. It's a very well respected sport, and it comes with a lot of discipline and great relationship with your coach, teammates, and all of that. Okay, so back to Canada. So you came back to Canada. When did you come to Canada? Let's start the journey in Canada.
Um, so I returned back after graduation. I was in Canada. Uh, I was in Canada briefly. It was quite different because I had been in the States, but I've always loved Canada. The good thing, I'm happy that I had a taste of this country before I moved to the States. So, with my experience in the States, of course, I wanted to return back to Canada. I came back to Canada. It was stayed there for about a year or so. Then I moved back to the States again.
Really?
I moved out to the States, and this time I was in Michigan. I was in Southfield, Southfield, in Michigan. I was there briefly, and of course, I missed Canada. Then the reality started to set in about the differences between the States and Canada, with regards, especially to healthcare, to some of the things that we take for granted. There was a particular thing that happened that made me, think about it carefully and said, you know what? I think I'm going to return back to Canada.
So let's talk about it. What is it about? What is that makes you miss Canada when you're outside Canada? Because everybody the crazy thing is when I tell my friends in the States, I tell them things about Canada, they go like, oh really? That happens in Canada too? And I'm like, are you crazy? So what is it
No,
about Canada that when you are outside Canada you miss?
I tell people this. I mean, I still have lots of friends in the U.S. I think a lot of them are beginning to realize. If they never realized it before, they do now. The things that we take for granted, very few countries in the world have them. Let's take a look at our healthcare system.
That's right.
It does not matter what kind of services we think we're not happy with. Our healthcare system in Canada is first class. Don't take it for granted.
That's right.
When you go in the States and you unfortunately have to go get an MRI, any kind of test, radiological test done, that's when you start to realize what you're missing in this country.
That's right.
I have come to respect this country for what it has, and I believe Canadians sometimes we take it for granted. It's almost like that partner, that relationship you have, you think they're always going to be there.
Yeah.
The sanity of our environment, the level of discourse that we have and how we treat each other, it's unparalleled. So having lived in the States and experienced it, I'll tell you, this is one of the greatest country in the world. And I think every one of us should fight to protect everything that we have in this country and participate in the building and strengthening of this great country.
I agree with you perfectly. I couldn't agree less. Canada is a place where when I speak and I tell people I'm willing to die for this country, they're like, oh, but you're from Nigeria, you're from Africa, you don't talk like that. I said, yes, because I know my roots, but Canada has been a blessing to me. I look at my kids growing up. I look at the education system. I look at the healthcare system, like how you are able to. You don't just have your own private doctor that you go to see in his clinic, but you go into a walk-in clinic that is not even he doesn't know you, and you just go into the walk-in clinic and he attends to you. And this doctor is like this is your private, you have your personal doctor and you have your
Yeah.
private doctor in Canada, and the kids, the drugs are for free. The kids get the drugs for free. And, it's something that we all ought to be grateful to God about. And I
Yes,
appreciate you for really seeing it that way. Now,
yes,
let's close in on Brampton. So,
right.
how did we end up in Brampton?
That's a good question. So
Yes.
I was out west. My territory was out west, the western part of the country,
Mm.
Vancouver, Washington State. And I have some very good friends of mine who live here, and they've always said, you got to come check it. But I wasn't really then interested. But it got to a point in time I felt my calling was to move to Ontario, and I did in the fall of no summer of 2008 at a very very tight period economically,
Yep.
uh, the beginning of that whole recession. And being somebody in the investment world, it was really tough. That was how I moved here, and I was here, lived in Mississauga and Milton until I met my amazing wife, who said to me, Milton and Mississauga are great, but Brampton is the place to be because she's always lived in Brampton. So decided to move in Brampton. Ever since Brampton has been home for me. My children were all born in Brampton, and I'm happy I made that decision to come here.
How yeah, I hear you talk about Brampton, you say it's your home. How well integrated are you in Brampton? Tell me about Brampton. How well do you know Brampton, and how have you participated in things in Brampton to have the bragging right to say, listen, Brampton is my place? Oh, hello.
Okay,
Hello.
it's back now. Yeah, no,
Okay.
thank you.
Did you hear my
So,
question?
yes, I heard it. I
Okay.
heard you. I heard you quite right. Um, Brampton is a very diverse city. It's got pretty much everything you want in this city. Uh, we have the second largest we are the second largest ethnic minority group in Brampton. That's people of African descent, from the Caribbean, Nigerian, and everybody. We're the second largest with a population of about 82,000 based on 2016 census. So right now we should be about 100 and something thousand
Wow.
next to the South Asian community. We have helped build this city, this province, this country.
Why did you say so?
So for a lot of people, like my wife and her family that grew up here, they helped in the building of this city. They are part of the fabric of the city, from paying taxes to helping develop the city, putting money into the region that governs Peel. But one thing we've always lacked is not our voices are not often heard, and we tend not to participate in a lot of things. And as such, we have relegated ourselves to second or third class citizens. So for me, when I decided to stay here, I was like every other person. We pay attention to politics, we vote, but I thought to myself, I live here. My children go to school here. I must get involved in the things that can help cement our community. And one thing I've come to realize that in terms of representation in the city, we don't have it. We have Councillor Williams, who is the only black councillor in Mississauga, which is the neighboring city. There is none. In Caledon, there is none. So it allows you start to think about how can you help build your community so that as your children starts to grow, they will see themselves as meaningful members, contributing members of this society.
Idris, let me sorry, I'm gonna come back to this, but I wanna I like when people talk the talk and they walk the walk. When you talk about I think there was some interruption when I asked that question. But I wanna see, I wanna hear you tell me what gives you the bragging right to say, Brampton is my place. What I want to see things that your involvement with the community. How have you thrown your weight around, so that when people say, "Hey, Idris, you're not from here," you be like, "My friend, go and sit down. This is my place. I did this, I did that, I was involved in that." I wanna what have you been involved in, or what have you been involved with in your community in Brampton?
So that's a very good question. I think a lot of us can own that right as well, not just myself. If you're a resident of Brampton, a resident of Peel, you pay your taxes, I think you have the bragging right to say, you know what, I'm a bona fide member of this city.
That's right.
Here,
That's right.
here are some of the other things that I have done. If you look at it, I was the first person that hosted the meeting that brought the African and the Caribbean community together under one umbrella with the mayor, Councillor Williams, and so many people of this city under one umbrella to tell them the importance, the significance of us coming together. If not, we'll cease to exist in any way in this city. It was something that I set up, and I did. It was a success. And that resulted to some of us, myself, having helped work in Patrick's campaign, volunteer to help with his campaign. That was one part. Also, with a campaign for on the provincial side, on the federal side, with Kamal Kira and Alpern on the conservative side, I have helped work for their campaign to bring in people, bring in voices. Because we didn't have, or we don't have members of our community in this election, but we have to support somebody so that when they get there, we'll be able to work with them.
There's a
That was
picture.
something.
Sorry, there's a picture online. I found it online of you. It's like a living room, and you're standing. You're wearing a blue. What's that picture?
Man, you have really done your research.
Oh
You
yes, I
have done
have.
your research.
So
Wow.
what picture is that?
So that was the current mayor, Patrick Brown, that was in my family room
Oh
when I
yeah.
hosted a community event for him to bring in members of our community to essentially introduce him to member of our community. That was before the election.
Wow.
So that was one. That was in my living room. That was my family room
Oh
in
wow.
my home.
Okay.
So that was at the early phase. My wife was sitting around there, but at the same time, my work with the school, which is essential from the beginning to how I was banned from the school. So my advocacy led to me being banned by the Pale Board District School for
Hold
one
on.
year.
Let me see. I'm just guessing. But there's another picture of you standing in something that looks like a board. I don't know. It's like I'll put up the picture. You tell me what the picture is all
Okay.
about. But it looks like someone doing some advocacy. What's that picture?
Oh, you have dug all this picture. So that picture, that was a good case. So I was at the University of Toronto, the law department,
Okay.
giving a speech on systemic racism and
Oh,
the impact it has on the black community. So I was one of the guests, part of the panel that spoke on that issue. That was actually in the auditorium of University of Toronto Law Department.
oh wow.
Yes,
That's interesting. And then
you know,
I'll show you one more picture, and then we'll continue. There's tell me what is happening in this picture right here.
so that is part of the advocacy, part of my advocacy. So that was, I think that picture would have been in Brampton, in the downtown Brampton during the rally. That's after the death of George Floyd. So what I did, and I'll give you, that was a group that hosted that, and they wanted me to speak. So I was there talking to members, people that were there, members. There were a lot of people in there
Hmm.
advocating for fair.
Oh, I think we lost some audio there. I'm hoping it's gonna come back. Um,
Treatment, fighting for our rights.
Sorry, we
Not if I
lost
can
you. We
hear me.
lost a little bit of your audio back there. So you said what did you say you were doing there?
So I was advocating. It was during a rally at Gage Park in downtown Brampton,
Okay.
where I was one of the speakers, myself and a few other people. Uh, talking to community members. It was quite a large crowd, just trying to empower our community and let them know that young black children can aspire, can dream, and can get whatever they choose to.
Yep.
About against systemic racism. And right after that, I led a march, which is one of the, perhaps it was the biggest march in Peel, that started from the courthouse, is symbolic, the courthouse on Hill, Ontario. The march went on from that courthouse to the Peel District School Board, and it was on that day, June 17th, that the board decided that they had had enough and essentially caved and gave their power to the Minister of Education, hence dissolving the board, which is an amazing feat that I don't know if it's ever happened in this country, in Canada before. Because remember, the board, these are elected officials. They essentially said to the Minister of Education, we can no longer govern ourselves. We want you to take over. And that led to the dissolution of the board. And the board ceased to exist on that day. And what that ushered in a new director, who is the first 3 new directors in Peel District School Board, which is the second largest district school board in the country. In Toronto, which is the largest district school board in the country, and in Ottawa. All of these boards had black women as their directors. Never happened in this country before.
Wow. Yeah, I know. I know. So this is a ripple effect from this thing that happened. You see that? I had to bring up this thing because a lot of people don't understand how these things work. They're all interconnected, and these are some of the things that happen in the background. But when you see the manifestation, in the surface, you don't know what went on behind the scene. Is this the protest you were talking about?
No, that protest was in Gage Park.
Okay,
If you
not
could
this
see
one.
the one on the Peel District School Board, you probably will see there was a long protest with several media outlets, starting from the courthouse to here, Ontario. So, and I'll tell you another important thing that came out of my fight as well, for a lot of people who didn't know.
Yeah.
After the board terminated, fired the director, and they ushered in a new leadership in the person of Bruce Rodriguez, who was appointed by the Minister of Education to clean up the board. I made the presentation that essentially, this was way after that ended the SRO program. Now, for a lot of people who are not familiar with the SRO program, it's called the School Resource Officer Program, which is this is a program that allows police officers to be in Peel schools, in the Peel schools. Yeah. Now, after my presentation, the board ended that program. Now, why was that program bad? Some people who don't understand how systemic racism works will think having police officers in classrooms are good. No, they were bad, because they led to the continuous marginalization of young black children and South Asian community as well. Remember, a 6-year-old was handcuffed. Think about that. My son is 7. Imagine handcuffing a 6-year-old because they couldn't control this child. Now, this child has some challenges. Had challenges, and you expect that the educational system should be able to provide to cater for this child. Rather, they introduced the criminal justice system, which led to police coming in and handcuffing, hog-tying the 6-year-old. That made us go, we just lost it, because it never happened to other children but black children. So I made the case that led to the school terminating that program as a result of my advocacy. So there has been a lot of changes, and I've been fighting for the community in so many capacities. I and a few other people we met with Andrew Scheer, then the leader of the Conservative Party,
Yeah.
to try to let him know about our community and why we are relevant during the election. So this is just some of the things that have been involved because you asked me what makes me think Brampton is my home. Well, I have been fighting for my people and all people in Peel. I just happen to live in Brampton. For a lot of my advocacy and the result, the outcome of this advocacy, I think allows me to say Brampton is home.
Yeah, and I needed you to prove that point. Those days in secondary school when we went for debate, you would
Right.
close by saying, "With these few points of mine, I hope I have convinced you that I
I
have
hear
the bragging right to say that Peel region is my home." So you have that bragging right. You can say that
you.
anywhere, any day,
Well,
anytime.
thank
You
you.
have a right to say that yes, you are truly uh, you are a citizen of Peel region, and Brampton is home to you. Um,
If I may
honestly,
top that, if I may top that,
okay.
early this year, at the Black History Month, I actually got an award from the city.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. It'd be nice to see.
I was recognized by the mayor of the city for my advocacy work.
Wow. Okay, yeah, we see that.
So, hey,
That's very good. You see, I am a member of the BCCC, the Police Black Community Consultative Committee, and
right,
I know what it means to be advocating for your community. That's why I was immediately attracted to you and what you're doing. I understand in deeper terms what you're doing, and it is my desire and my hope that people, through this kind of awareness that we're creating on our channel, will get to understand what people like you are doing and the importance of doing exactly that. Because, like you say, in the past, our people just come and they not even in the past, even right now, there needs to be a lot of awakening done amongst our people. I don't know where we get this where we imagine this state of mind that things will change when you don't do anything. Things don't change. Nobody comes and gives you what you want. You have to
no,
demand for it. You have to speak
yes,
up. You have to show up where they're
yes,
talking about it and demand what's yours and take it. So,
absolutely. I think we need to set examples, great example for our younger ones, for our children. See, second generation Nigerians or Africans or Caribbeans in Canada are completely part of this. And what they see from the rest of us can determine what direction they go. If we decide that we're not going to participate and fight for ourselves, no one else is going to fight for you. I do not expect anybody else to fight for you. And I can relate what is happening here to what is happening back home in Nigeria. What the reason why we're in such a fragile state in Nigeria and some countries in Africa is because people have essentially given up their own powers to folks who haven't earned and who don't deserve them. And when you don't speak, when you don't fight, you can never get anything. You have to go get it. You have to earn it. You have to hold people accountable. And I will hope from this conversation that people can start to see themselves as part of the building block of this country. And I hope it would inspire other people to wake up and make themselves uncomfortable for others to be comfortable.
let me ask you one other thing that I've seen that has happened, and let me also pause here to really thank you and a lot of you. I'm aware of your team that really worked very hard in Peel region and in the election of the current mayor Patrick Brown. I know a lot of you that worked so hard, and big ups to you. We really appreciate you because you guys did our community proud. Right now, they know about the African community in and the black community in Brampton because of the work that you guys did. Now, what's your advice? I mean, it's not election period right now. It's soon gonna start happening. Everywhere is gonna start buzzing very soon with elections for councillorship and all of that. What's your advice to people in our community who hitherto would not even be interested in politics? They say, no, it's not my thing. I don't care about what happens. What's your advice to them? What do you expect us to do when it's time for politics and elections, actually?
Thank you very much. This is a very, very, very important thing, and I want people to listen to this. As long as you pay your taxes and you reside here, as long as you're a resident of this city, this province, this country, you owe it to yourself to participate. If you don't set those examples, your children will never learn them from outside. And essentially, what you're doing is robbing your children of a brighter future. You have paid, you continue to pay into this system, into the purse, impale in this province. You go to hospital, you use a lot of city things, amenities. There are a few people who sit uh, in City Hall. There are people who sit in Queens Park, while there are people who sit in Ottawa. These people make decisions that govern your life.
Mm.
Let me give you an example of the decisions that impact your life from the Peel School Board.
Yep.
For those who, most of us, our children attend Peel School Boards, the schools in Peel, period. And those are under the leadership of the director completely.
Mm.
The kind of education your children get, your own access to teachers, to principals, to superintendents, then whether your children take academic courses or non-academic courses, which part of my advocacy has changed by the minister. Because before, guiding counselors, the school can just decide and say, well, Chidi, you can go to university. You should take these courses. And as a parent, if you are too caught up with if you are caught up with your job,
Yeah.
and you don't go to schools, you don't attend school programs, you will never know. Somebody else has decided the direction, the future of your child.
That's right.
So all of this are interconnected. So I say to my people, I say to Africans, I say to Black people, when you continue to ignore or not participate in your rightful duties, you are essentially handing over your power to somebody else to decide for you. And the outcome would not be good, would not be to your own benefit. You need to pay attention. We don't have, I just listed earlier that we have one Black female counselor in, one Black counselor in City Hall in Brampton. There is none in Mississauga. There is none in Caledon. So think about it. There are decisions that affect our lives every day. Whether you want to erect anything behind your home, whether you want to add anything to your home, the city decides it.
That's right.
Well, if you want to rent any part of your house, the city decides it. If you must go to a park, the city decides it. Zoning laws, where you build, how you build, all fall in the hands of the city. Your hospitals, we have one hospital and one urgent care. That hospital was built for about 100 and something thousand people. Now we're about 650,000 to 680,000 in Brampton. We need another hospital. So I tell you what you do to yourself by not participating. When you don't participate and you think, well, I don't like to vote. So it doesn't bother me because you have your home, you have your car,
Mm-hmm.
you have your job. But guess what? You don't have your hospital. You don't have your schools. You don't have authority when your garbage are taken.
Mm-hmm.
Elected officials decide that. Elected officials can decide what you pay, when you pay it, what hospital you go, when you go, what kind of education your children get, how they get them, when they get them. So abstaining is essentially endangering yourself.
That's right.
So I'm encouraging everybody, everything is interconnected. And at this juncture in our lives, it's absolutely important that you start to think about having somebody who has your interest to support them, to advocate, and to make sure that they are elected. Do not shy. It doesn't matter what party. It's not a time because we don't have the know-how and we don't have that population compared to the South Asian community to vote. So when we have people, we need to have people elected in different parties who can represent us, and particularly people who have shown and demonstrated that they care about you and I. It's
Honest.
absolutely important. If you don't do that, you have no right to say, look at this group, they are doing this. Look, like we always do, look at this
I
group, they have
know.
the weaknesses.
I
You
know.
seem to say that.
Yeah. We're always fond of making those comparisons, but when they tell you what those groups did to get to where they are, then you're not interested in doing the same thing.
Yes,
Idris, I am so grateful to have had you on our show today. I know we're gonna have this discussion on another level, but we're keeping it where we should keep it so we don't get into trouble.
I
But
hear you.
I think we've heard you. We will continue to build on your advice and we'll keep our eyes very wide open for that kind of person who we can send to represent us, and we will muster our support behind that person. Now, within before we close, I want you to address this issue and
Right.
tell me how you were able to actually do it when you were supporting Patrick Brown. Within the black community, within the African community, you still find people forming cliques and find having lines of divisions where they say, I'm African, I'm Caribbean, I'm black Canadian. I'm like, what are you talking about? So I wanted to speak to this so people understand that there shouldn't be that line of division. And I know you were able to bring people together for the mayor's election. So how were you able to do this, and what do you have to say to our people concerning this issue?
Yeah, thank you. So we do not have the privilege of numbers. We do not have the, even if we have the privilege of numbers as Nigerians, we have so many divisions. This is a whole different topic, which personally, I am not in support in. I understand the need to have the small segments, different association. But at the end of the day, as a black person in North America and the Western Hemisphere, we're all in the same, we're all under one umbrella. You cannot start to segment, divide, ostracize yourself. If you think you don't have much in common with somebody from Jamaica, Trinidad, Guyana, South Africa, think twice. You don't even have all in common with your own siblings in your own home,
That's
raised
right.
under the same roof.
Yeah.
You know, so we need to capitalize on the things that we have together. If you walked into a store, if you walked into a store, I could not tell where you're from. The folks who have the power in terms of systemic racism that we deal with here in North America,
Hmm.
nobody really cares if you're from Nigeria, if
Exactly.
you're Igbo, if you're Yoruba, if you're from Tanzania, Jamaica. What is written in the media is a black man.
That's right.
So we are all in this pot, in this struggle together. So the notion that somebody would say, well, I don't understand the Caribbeans. No, that is not true.
Mm.
We have more in common. Take the time to get to know somebody, just like you would take the time to get to know a relative you've never met before.
That's right.
So I say this to my Caribbean brothers and sisters, and some of them know my position, and I'm saying this to my African brothers and sisters. We are all in this struggle, in this fight together. If we don't come together and pursue a common goal, we will cease to exist. As it is right now, I say to people, I have I, I have strong respect for the South Asian community because it was never handed to them. They have their differences. But guess what? If you live in Peel, you live in Canada, you can see, you can attest to their level of success. I
That's
think
right.
right now, there are probably about 27 or 20, 21 or 27 of them in cabinet in Ottawa. All five MPs,
Yeah.
all five MPs in the from Brampton are Southeast Asian. I admire them. It was never handed to them. They fought so hard. They went through discrimination, and yet they were able to come together and fight. We can replicate the same thing. So the notion that I don't get along with a Caribbean or with an Edo person, an Igbo person, a Yoruba person, or a South African, to me does not make sense because your children, our children, really don't necessarily identify as those. They identify as Canadians.
That's right.
So
That's right.
what are you doing? So we have more together to gain from all of us putting our energy, putting our focus into a goal and attaining it. And I hope this will allow people to start thinking about how they fit into this system.
Thank you so much, Idris. It's been a pleasure having you on our show. Please, when next we call you, which I know will be very soon,
Right.
because I know things are going to heat up. And from the things I'm able to glean from your discussion, I'm getting excited already. So I know that we're going to need to call you back. And when we call you back, please find time to come on our show and speak to us again. But thank you so much. It was a nice time having you. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
thank you very much. It's my pleasure. I hope everybody a wonderful evening and a wonderful weekend. We'll do this again.
Thank you so much, Idris.
Thank
Bye
you,
bye.
sir.
Yeah, bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Okay, guys, so that was Idris Orughu. Idris is just so packed. He is packed with so much punch. You heard him. We couldn't even exhaust so many things that we would have wanted him to speak about because it start getting people into trouble. So we're just gonna leave it as it is, and we will bring him back much later in time when it is the right thing to talk about. So many things I would like to talk about with him. And then to you out there who tuned in, I really want to thank you. I want to appreciate your giving us your time to be on our show today. I want to ask you to continue to support us and to carry the message that we've been spreading on this show tonight. Carry it to the rest of the people within the black community and continue to galvanize them so that they'll begin to be conscious about their environment, about their community, about their rights, and what they should be doing to make sure that they protect those rights and don't allow anybody to take it away from them. That's the end of our program tonight. From all of us in the Toronto studios of Worship Media, from Dr. Erica, and from every member of our crew, I want to thank you and ask you to stay safe and remain blessed. Bye bye.